What's up, man? Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
I will say you're definitely the best dress I've ever had on this podcast.
Oh, I'll take that as a compliment.
I might have to start putting in there like dress code. What are you wearing? So I could level up with you.
I just assumed that, well, plus I'm meeting a couple of clients after.
Oh, so there you go.
There you go. Yeah.
So why don't you tell everyone who you are, man?
Yeah, Curtis Cochron here. I've been in Riverside probably, since 1988 and work in the mergers and acquisitions arena, buying and selling businesses. And also we do more than that, actually. We have what we call the E4 system that we developed. It's entering, evaluating, enhancing, which most businesses are in the enhancing phase, and exiting business ownership. And so we help businesses actually go from point A to point B before they even think about an exit strategy. Got
it. Is there a number that you guys shoot for business-wise to kind of get into that world? Like, I'm a big fan of Alex Amosi, who, and his is like, I think $5 million before he'll look at a company. Is there a number that you guys kind of look at or no?
We actually go from anywhere from $500K in revenue up to assets revenue up to $100 million. But that's a great question, because there are a lot of businesses that owners will come to us, and we have to tell them that you have nothing to sell.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm sorry, it's just because I just did a little YouTube video this morning about what business owners should look at. And if you don't own the real estate, okay, then you better have cash flow.
You have to.
EBITDA. If you don't have that as something strong, you really have nothing to sell.
This show is sponsored by Resilient Real Estate Group, powered by EXP. So, you're thinking about buying and selling soon? Yes, we know you probably know a realtor, your mom's best friend's cousin's neighbor who puts her face on the local shopping cart. But you know what? Our friends at Resilient Real Estate Group have helped hundreds of thousands of people sell houses over the years, and they definitely know what they're doing based on their 5-star review on Google and Zillow. So it doesn't matter if you're looking to buy $1 million house or a fixer-upper. Make sure the next time you're thinking about buying and selling real estate, you give our friends a call over at Resilient Real Estate Group. And now we're back to the show. So I worked at a company a few years ago, and their big thing was like, we're going to help you build your real estate company so you can exit one day. And I'm like, that's great, but when I leave, that is the book of business. So I was like, who would buy my company unless my name was so big, like a Keller Williams or something like that. But like the hard part with owners, it's like when you leave, if you're the whole business, they're not that's not an asset after you leave the company.
Yeah, we call that the hub and spoke.
Okay.
And that is, if you're the hub, meaning that your suppliers come to you, your customers come to you, everybody comes to you, the owner, you have nothing really to sell.
Yeah.
And so we actually, if somebody's looking or listening to this podcast and they're thinking about actually exiting their business, what they have to give themselves at least 3 to 5 years to prepare the business, because most drain every dollar for their own self, which I understand that, but they have to flip that. They have to actually show a buyer coming in that you are making money.
Yeah.
I mean, that's as simple as that.
It's funny when business owners try to buy a house, and I'm like, great, you write off everything. You show no income. That's great on the taxes,
right?
But no one's going to give you money because they think you make no money.
Right.
Like, it's like, and so like you said, for us, like we have to structure it 2 years out. Like, okay, great. Well, now you're going to have to pay taxes for the next 2 years, show an income, W-2 yourself.
Right.
You can't just,
and it's hard for them to, they understand it, but it's hard for them to write that check.
Yes.
To Uncle Sam.
Yeah.
But you have to do that, because a buyer is going to come in there and they're going to look at you and say, well, you're not making money and you want 1.5 for it, for this multiple, because that's what they do is they look at multiples and they say, well, I'll just give you $250K for it.
Yeah.
When it's really not worth $250, it's much more than that, but you have to show
You got to show the books right.
Absolutely.
It's just like for us in income revenue properties, like, we go and want to buy a 10-unit property. It's like, well, we're going off what you're writing. Like if you've undervalued your rents, like that's not my problem. Like
Right.
it's only much as it brings in cash flow on it.
That's right. That's
Yeah.
right.
So for you, obviously business owning is really hard, and obviously you've been doing this since. Were you doing it in '88?
Yeah, well, actually, I started it when I was working for my father.
Mm-hmm.
I was going through my degrees and all of that. I always thought that there was some kind of a mathematical formula because my major was mathematics in college, Nebraska.
Yeah.
Since you talked about that, but so I thought there was a formula. So I realized there isn't a formula mathematically.
Yeah.
But and then I went and got my MBA and I went and got my doctorates and all that stuff. But that process made me understand that, some businesses are going to succeed,
Yeah.
and some are not going to succeed. And those that are not going to succeed are those that don't understand that you're working for profit, not hours.
Yeah.
And profit is the key.
It's not how many hours you put in, it's what you make money. Exactly. And that's hard too when you come from employee world, like we were talking about, to business owner. Like right now, you just walked in our team meeting, like they're right now in hourly mode, like they're coming from hourly jobs. So they're like, well, I put this many hours and I should get paid. Mm-hmm. And I tell them, I'm like, great, but if those hours aren't turning into revenue or not revenuing items, like it doesn't matter how many hours you work. And it's like today, right now, like I get a call from a past client, hey, we want to sell. Okay, it's $1 million house. That's roughly $25,000 in revenue for the company before we pay everyone. And it's like I could be done for the day. Be like, all right, I'm done.
Right,
right. But that's years of putting yourself in positions to do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's where business owners have to actually think about. They have to look at P&Ls. They have to understand what a P&L looks like, the net. And for those that are listening, they'll say, yeah, I understand it. Well, from a buyer standpoint, you have to really understand that you have to show the cash. Okay, I run my whole entire life through my business, and I show the IRS that I net $5,000 a year.
Yeah.
Well, that's not helping you at all, because then you have to figure out when you go to recast all those dollars, you have to prove this to the buyer. It's proof.
Yeah.
It's evidence. You have to have evidence that your money is going through the business and it's worth what you think it is.
And the worst part about it, we see this a lot in real estate, is that they'll run their P&Ls, but they won't pay themselves a salary as an owner.
Right.
Well, if you sell this company, if the person doesn't want to step into your position, they're going to have to hire someone. So that's a salary that you're not putting towards your books.
Exactly.
So it's like, oh, we made $200,000 this year. All right, great, but I'm going to have to hire a CFO or CEO or whatever you want to say it to take over the business. That person's salary is going to be at least $150,000.
Right.
So we made $50,000. Like you have to take your own you have to W-2 yourself to the point where you can replace yourself.
You really do. And if you're not going to W-2, then you better show it on the P&L, the cash flow, the net. Okay, I'm making, $750,000 a year or something, whatever that might be. But you have to show that.
Yeah, I wish I would have started P&Ls like right when I first started.
Right.
It took me a long time to like get around the right people that talked about P&Ls.
Right.
Because it's like you should be doing P&Ls even though the income's not that much. It's like if you stick to the system, you'll be profitable, not just what the bank account's looking like.
You mentioned system. I'm telling you, if you don't have your systems in place along with your cash flow, then you're just going back to the hub and spoke, meaning that the owner is making all the decisions when in fact he shouldn't or she shouldn't. You should have a system in place, just like franchises. I'm not really too keen on franchises, but the idea is still the same. They have business plans, and they people get into franchises for that reason. But if you are a business owner, you have to have those systems in place along with the cash flow if you're going to actually exit one day.
Why don't you like franchises?
Well, the only one reason, really, the franchise is because you have to pay
that fee.
That fee.
Yeah.
And then when you go to sell it, you have to get an approval from corporate to sell it. So your hands are tied in a way that you're going to be paying monthly.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm okay. You know, I understand that. You don't have a business plan from the beginning. You don't know exactly what you want to do. I'm going to open up a franchise. Okay, but when you go to exit, because you will exit. People don't understand.
Yeah.
You will exit. And when you do exit, you're going to have to get corporate to agree with it.
Well, I mean, a good example I always thought was like Quiznos. Like, I loved Quiznos.
Yeah.
And then corporate totally shafted everyone, and then, you know, you have no control of what happens.
Zero control, and that's why I'm not really too excited about franchises, but I can understand them.
I think it almost is like you want to own your own business as an entrepreneur, but you want the legwork up front to kind of be done for you, which, I mean, you're gonna pay that price for it.
You're gonna pay it. You're gonna pay it. The advertising as well.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what you're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
And if they don't advertise the way you want it to, still what? You're gonna have to pay them.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
So what made you get into this space?
Oh, I tell you, I saw so many in the oil field. You can only imagine, because my dad was, like I said, back in the day, he was in the oil field, and I saw businesses, because it was boom or bust.
Yeah.
And I saw businesses just pump out cash left and right, and then go bust.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always kind of curious as to why that happens. And of course, you know, since oil was a boom and bust type of thing, but at the same time, you could plan for that, and you could actually make proper decisions. And if you are making a lot of money, know that there's going to be a bust around the corner, because that was oil, that you want to be able to invest in other revenue streams.
Yeah.
To actually succeed when it was a downtime. And even back then, even in the 80s, you know, revenue stream, the words revenue stream and all that wasn't talking about. That wasn't even a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
You know, somebody that was a tool pusher in the oil field, I just know that I'm a tool pusher. Well, you can do more than that. You know, fast forward 30, 40 years down the road from then, and now with technology and computers and everything, boy, you can do almost anything. Mm-hmm. It's really fascinating.
I mean, do you think it's overwhelming for people now because information is so available, and the excitement of owning a business based on what people see on Instagram now or Facebook is not what reality is? That right. We're seeing a lot of people get into the entrepreneur space that shouldn't.
Well, if you are going to be an entrepreneur, know this, and of course you're an entrepreneur, so you know this, that you're going to have to understand you have to give more in value than you take in dollars.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't understand that. I mean, if you don't give and brand yourself as one of those individuals that, look, my job here is to make you happy, and with a product or service, whatever it is, and you may be working 60, 80 hours a week, and if you break down the dollars for that week, it might be $10.
Yeah.
It really
is.
But you have to look at the long term, because before you know it, if you do things the right way, because there is a right way and a wrong way, but if you do the things the right way, give more in value than you take in dollars, 5-10 years from now, your cash is just going to be rolling in. Mm-hmm. But you have to understand you're going to have to put forth the effort to do that.
And I just don't. Do you think people just don't? They underestimate the effort that has to be put up front, so they never get like the momentum going in their business.
Right.
Yeah.
They quit before they actually see it.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, you don't see it. And
sometimes even now, where I'm like,
right.
God, I'm 8 years in. I mean, obviously the, market's whatever right now, but it's like sometimes I'm like, God, like, when is it? Because the hard part is I'm in a circle where people are doing like, they've been doing it for 25 years and they're $600-700 million, massive teams or whatever. But then you like talk to them and they go like, I was right where you were at.
Yeah.
8 years in, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
Like, no way. Like, you're so successful. And he's like, yeah, I was right there. It took me 12 years to figure this out or whatever happened. And then after that, it was like snowball. Mm-hmm. But thank God I have those people around me to be like, you're right where you should be at. I am?
Yeah.
I feel like a loser.
Yeah. Have you read that the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell?
I have not.
I recommend that you read it. It's an excellent book, and it's talking exactly about what you're talking about, and that is that it takes about 10,000 hours to be an expert, which equates about 10 years to be an expert in anything. And so it's a great book because it talks about all the famous athletes, artists, all of that they had to actually put in those hours before anything was going to come about.
I look at it as like an internship still.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how I try to explain to new agents. I'm like, you're going to be an intern for 4 or 5 years, and make money. Like,
right.
Yeah, you might not be making 100% of what you're bringing in, but I don't even make 100% bringing in.
Right.
So why don't you just take 50%, make money, and learn as you go, and maybe then you can branch off in the future.
The best thing about being a salesperson is that you learn about profit.
Yes.
You learn that what am I going to be to separate myself from everybody else. It's really the truth.
And do you feel like obviously you work with a lot of business owners, like, do you see a trait in the successful ones? Do they have anything in common that you pick?
Yeah, they understand.
I know this question is for me, so I'm like, do I have that or not?
Yeah, no, they have the idea of profit. They know that I'm going to make money as long as my customer is happy.
Got it.
They understand that.
Yeah.
They understand that it doesn't matter what customer comes in through the door. I'm going to make that customer happy because I know that I'm going to profit by that. And the techs or the hourly people that are working, they're just thinking and looking at the clock. Unfortunately, that's the way that is. But if you're an owner, you're really a salesperson in the driver's seat.
Yeah,
really.
It's hard being a salesperson when you're trying to make someone happy and like things are just not happening the way they should be, and then they're upset. Maybe that's why I take it so personal, because I literally think that's my job, is to, like, they came to me. My job is to make this the easiest, smooth process as possible, make them happy, keep them happy. Sometimes it doesn't work that way, and you're just like, you take it so personal sometimes.
Yeah. That's true for being an entrepreneur like yourself and myself and those that are out there. It's an up and down process. Yeah, it really is. You
got to ride the roller coaster.
Yeah, you do. But what you actually discover about yourself is that you know that you're stronger and better than what you thought you were.
I sometimes love, it sucks in the moment, but I love when stuff goes sideways, because then it seems like that is when I feel like it's like we're in a recession or whatever you want to call it. It's like these are the people that figure out the way to get through the bad times. So then when you get through the good times, your company's so much better because you had to make it better.
Yeah, absolutely. You go through the down times, but when you go through the down times, you're uncomfortable, and that's where you actually learn a lot about yourself and about what you can do to make it even better, for sure.
So how does it work for your guys' company? Do people come to you, you bring them on as a client, you prepare for them to get their company ready for sell? Are they paying you the whole time or do you get a commission at the sell at the end of it?
Yeah, that's the beauty of our system. So our system is we take on clients and we help build their business. It's part of that E4 I was talking about, and most businesses are in the E3 phase, which is enhancing. They're enhancing. You're enhancing your business right now, and so before we even get to the E3 to develop an enhancement plan for them, we actually do an evaluation. I stole this years ago. We call ourselves primary business consultants, but I stole it from my doctor, primary health care physician. I stole that. I said, well, I'm a primary business consultant because we do a health check of your business. And then once we figure out that, because most business owners, they like real estate, they think that their business is worth more.
100%.
100%.
Yeah.
And I give them the realization that, hey, it's really only worth 1.2. Well, I thought it was worth $3 million. Well, no, but what we can do is put it into an E3 enhancement plan, raise it up to $3 million, and then you're ready for an exit strategy. And so, but during that whole time, to answer your question is, yeah, they pay us for the consulting piece.
Got it.
And then when they exit, that's of course the commission
side of it. Do you think most business owners should own the building they work in?
Oh, yes.
My lease is up in October, and like the team was like, "We're gonna read." I'm like, first off, no. I'm like, we're gonna go out and buy a building.
Yes.
I'm like, because I opened this office 18 months into real estate. Should not have done it. I was not ready, but whatever. Lesson learned. I'm like, I'm done paying $5,000 a month for rent.
Right.
I'll just go buy a building,
Yeah.
and then at least the company owns something.
Yes.
And even if we exit, we can keep the building, lease it to someone else as an asset and something.
You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, because I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
You know, that's an absolutely fantastic question, because if you're a buyer, the first question that you ask, does the seller own the real estate? The reason it's more control.
Yeah.
You have more control. And the chances have gone to, from 30 to maybe 40% selling the business to probably 80, 90%
if you own the real estate.
because of the real estate.
Got it.
The real estate component, if I'm the buyer, I can say, well, okay, if it's worth, $1 million real estate and you want 1.7, okay, I could go belly up in the business, but I still have
the building. Yeah.
Yes. And so that's huge. It's I recommend it if you are getting into business, but a lot of people start their business from their garage.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. Find a way to buy the real estate. If you can do that, more money for you.
More money for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there times that you think it's okay? Obviously, there's profit and losses, but are there times where companies should put the gas pedal down and almost maybe break even or take a few losses for a few months to really market or something like that for the long play?
What do you
meaning like this is something I've always struggled with. We're growing as a company.
Right.
So right now, what's more important? I mean, profit or growing? Are there times where you need to grow more and worry about profit later, or profit's always most important to you?
That's a great question.
That's a struggle I've always had as a business owner.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we're making money, whatever, but I want to do this podcast room. Should I spend the $7,000 to build this podcast room for future business? Screw the profit and loss for this month or this whatever, but this is going to bring more income later on in the road. Or do you think a company should always live and die off profit?
No, again, another book, I can't remember the author at the top of my head, but it's called No Man's Land, and it's exactly what you're talking about is, do I want to grow, or do I just want to sustain the profit? The old adage saying, if you're not growing, you're
dying. Yeah.
And that's really the truth. So the answer to your question is you find ways to grow.
Yeah.
You find other revenue streams. You take your profits. Sure, you take the profits. Maybe you invest in real estate. Maybe you invest in stocks, bonds, whatever. But ultimately, you're going to have to find a way to expand your brand. And that's what a business owner should always focus on
growing.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just I always see these people and I'm like, well, yeah, like I think I felt like 2020 was like everyone was behind the 8 ball on like Zoom and technology and video content because they just really never needed it.
Right.
And then COVID hit and they're like, oh crap, now I gotta buy all this tech, and luckily we already had it. But I'm like, okay, well, you're not gonna go spend $7,000. You haven't tried to keep growing this stuff.
And you have to. I said before COVID, I said that this Zoom's going to take over, and of course everybody in my firm was saying you're crazy old guy.
Yeah.
And I said, I'm telling you, this will help our company, because we would drive all over California to visit baby boomers, because a lot of baby boomers were exiting and whatnot. So we would talk to them in person, because that's how they dealt with things.
Yeah.
Then COVID hit, and it just skyrocketed our business. And the idea that we saved money on traveling everywhere to Zoom, because the baby boomers accepted the idea that, hey, Zoom is
safer.
It's safer. And now, heck, we buy and sell businesses. And I sold a business 6 months ago for $3.5 million. And I didn't meet the seller or the buyer at closing.
Nice.
It was it was fascinating, because we could do everything by Zoom.
Yeah, Zoom.
And of course DocuSign and all
Sometimes
that
I think Zoom's too much now. Like, you can just call me. I don't need to like see your face all the time.
There you
now
go.
people have overdone Zoom.
Yeah, I tend to agree with that. I'm a conference call guy too.
Yeah,
so.
just like, let me hop on the phone with you, be done. I don't need to see your face. You don't need to see my face.
And we know that you're wearing shorts.
Yeah, exactly. If we're lucky, you know what I mean? Don't stand up. You never know. But I think that was a big shift in businesses. How do you adjust to something we've never dealt with? And I think people are going through that now.
Yeah.
How do you handle this crazy unknown market?
You have to focus in on growing. If you're a business, that's what you got to do.
Yeah. So did you ever think about owning obviously you do this, but like, was there anything else you were ever interested in to like, oh, maybe I should go try to start this business? Or has there ever been a business that come across your table, you're like, I'd be interested in buying this business?
Oh yeah, definitely. Several times. And then in my wife in particular, she goes, I want you to buy, let's get into a restaurant and do this. And I said, honey, I said, if you own a restaurant, it is extremely difficult.
Yes.
The profit margins are
really tight.
Really tight, yes. And it is difficult. And our kids were already grown up to college and everything. So I said, honey, are you going to work it? She goes, no. She goes, every now and then, but you will. And I said, no, I won't work.
Yeah.
So she wanted to do that. It sounds all fun and games, but there's a lot of work in there.
Yeah.
I've analyzed and done evaluations for several businesses and industries that I know exactly where a good business would be in, which is the tech.
Yeah.
And, it used to be solar. That's kind of bombarded with everybody. But the answer to your question, yeah, I looked into them, and we started for our son. One of our kids wanted to be a barber. So what we did is we bought a little barber salon type thing, and that didn't go so well. And so because I let him run with it, and he kind of didn't do what he should have done. So, we had to take it away from him, and we ended up selling it. Yeah.
Yeah, my ex-father-in-law he still owns it, a bar in Rancho, and people are always like, hey, let me buy this bar, and he's like, this isn't just fun and games. He's like, I'm here every day at 8 in the morning. I'm the one mopping the floors, taking the quarters out of the machines.
Yes.
And people would always ask him, like, why don't you pay someone to do it? He's like, why? So I can then pay someone $40,000 a year to mop floors when I'm not doing. This is my this is all I have. This is my business.
Right.
So I'm gonna be there every day, and he'd work like they'd open up at 2, just straight dive bar, no food, and people are like, why no food? He's like, that's more margins. Like, if the food, I could put a bottle of alcohol. If no one ever buys it, it's still good. Right. He goes, if I order the wrong food and no one eats it, it's a loss. But people are like, why do you work the 2 to 4? That's 2 hours every day, from Monday through Sunday.
That's right.
That I don't have to pay someone.
That's, and that's what you have to look at, and that's how you buy and actually sell businesses, is looking at those different variables, because there's plenty of them out there for each business.
Yeah. Is there a space that used to be an industry that you liked, other than obviously you just said solar, but something else that you're like, you see it going in a bad direction the next few years? Bad direction
or a good direction?
One's bad. Go bad and then good.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, if I was a kid, the vocational industry is in such need. If you're a plumber, I'd open up my own plumbing.
Dude, my buddy just opened up one, and it is crushing.
There's a company that I was evaluating over in Rancho Cucamonga. The guy makes close to $700K a year.
I know.
And 150 of it's cash.
It's crazy.
It is absolutely. I'm thinking, I should have got into being a plumber.
Yeah.
Welding's another one. So these vocational, the vocational industry is really something I would look at if I was an entrepreneur, young kid. I would jump into, like I said, being a plumber, a welder.
Because here's the thing, it's expensive.
Yeah.
We have our people, and I'm like, that's gonna cost that. Well, I gotta drive out there.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta get someone out there. I gotta do this. I gotta do that.
That's right.
This is how much it costs.
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
The infrastructure of real estate, as you know, they're in dire need of all that.
All of it. I mean, it's so hard to get someone out. Luckily, I have my people.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Thank God I have my people over years. But if I had to go get someone I didn't know, it's not easy to get someone out there.
Right.
On a quickly basis.
And the other thing is, if you're really tech savvy, is to develop these platforms, the Facebook and all of these things. You look at real estate or maybe brokers and develop a CRM, and develop DocuSign. You have the ability to connect through DocuSign, and you could actually transfer somebody's industry or even company into its own platform.
Yeah. Do you see AI being a thing? Do you think AI is going to start taking over a lot of businesses?
Oh yeah. Gosh, yeah. Oh yeah. I'm a progressive thinker, so I think that's around the corner for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, why not? I don't understand. I understand that humans, they don't like change for the most part, but AI's right there.
I think it's just going to sharpen what you have. It's just going to force people to level up. Like I mess around with ChatGPT, and I could ask it a question about the buying process, or do I need 20% down? We shoot a lot of content here. We'll shoot 104 news videos this year. And those questions, ChatGPT can answer it. But if I type in what's going on in the current Riverside market, it can't answer that question.
Right.
So it's forcing people to be more in the know of what actually is going on, because the general questions, that's replaceable. Anyone can answer those questions.
You asked the question earlier, do you think technology has just bombarded us? And I'll tell you, to be honest, it's actually helped us.
Oh, I agree.
It helped us immensely. We could actually, you can go in there and Google things. Now, you got to be smart about things, because when you Google it, some is false, some's facts, who knows? But you can differentiate between all of that. And I think that AI is going to help us become even better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What's your exit plan?
I get that question a lot. I love what I do. I really don't even think I'm working, because I love bringing value to the table.
Yeah. Do you ever meet some owners of companies and you're just like, how are you even in this position? Like they don't have a P&L. They don't have, how are you making money? There's some people I meet, I'm like, how are you successful? It almost encourages me, because I'm like, if they can do it, I can do it. But some people, I'm like, what is it about you?
You have, that's a great question, because you have so many platforms where you can, put all your finances.
Yeah.
And there are, to this day, business owners running out of a shoebox. I kid you not. When I go in, I say, okay, I'm going to have to look at a P&L, your tax return. Well, we don't have a P&L. We don't have a balance sheet.
Yeah. They
don't even know how to create one. And I'm not saying that they're not intelligent, but again, it goes back to business owner.
Mm-hmm.
If you're a business owner and you understand profit, then you understand that I need to have a P&L, and I need to find out where all my money is going. And where it's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, some business owners just can't do that.
Yeah. Or they don't want to. I see a lot, people don't want to hire staffing because it takes from their bottom line, but they don't understand that can help them increase, for us, like, everything's getting tight right now in our market. Luckily, we'll be fine. But, people are like, why don't you, like, let your assistant go or your videographer go? And I'm like, but that's freeing me up to go do more. Mm-hmm. That takes me away from doing $20 an hour items to go making thousands of dollars an hour.
Right.
Like, you're thinking so short-sighted where it's like, I'd rather go struggle a little bit, keep the wheels moving. So then in 2024, we're not like, okay, well, I need to hire you back now. I need to do this. And then it's like, then you're trying to build that momentum over again.
Yeah. I would tell business owners all the time, well, for that matter, everybody is really, are you thinking small or big?
Yeah.
I mean, really, it goes back to the question, should I grow or should I not grow? Well, we've answered that.
Yeah.
You definitely want to grow. And if you hire somebody on, you want to make sure that they're doing exactly what you want them to do, mm-hmm. and then some. At least train them to actually be even better, because the better they are, the better your company's going to be.
Then that gives you better service.
Yes.
And then service brings in profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's all I think about it all the time recently is like, okay, like, how do we, if the market's slower and clients are more important than ever, how do we make the process so enjoyable? How do we bring so much to the table where it's like, oh my God, there's no way I would ever work with someone else. And then they'll refer us someone. So it's like, if you're not increasing the service that you're providing in all aspects, even like we're going down to like 30 days after closing, like calling them after they moved in, hey, now that everything's settled down, here's, $150, go have dinner with your wife.
Right.
Go enjoy yourself one night, something like that where
that's good.
People are just like, they were trying to, like I said, short side, like, I can't spend that extra money. Mm. It's like, okay, well, then your service is going to go down.
Right.
Then your revenues goes down.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah. You're a baseball player. I use a athletic analogy, but because you understand the idea of team sports and how all that evolves. And some of your players, some players are home run hitters. Some people are, singles, that in baseball. There's some athletes can do more than another. But once your team starts to go south, whether it's your culture or whether whatever, you know that you have a problem. You have a problem. And that's one of the things when you look at your team or your culture, you find out, are we winning or are we losing?
Yeah.
Because that could happen every day.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I actually just saw an article or a study the other day. It was just stating that just being around higher producing people, just being around them, I think it's like in 20 feet from them or whatever, you automatically go up 15%.
Yeah.
But if you're around worse producing people inside of 20 feet every single day, you then go down 25%. I don't think that's probably my most frustrating thing because, like, we're obviously hiring agents and blah, blah, whatever. And I'm like, you work around people that do no business.
Right.
You're currently doing little to no business.
Right.
Why do you think you're magically going to figure it out? I think a lot of people hope that they're going to just figure it out. Like, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah,
there's too much hope going on.
Yeah, and hope, faith. I always say that, because people, I have faith that this is going to happen. I always tell them that faith's an excuse that people use without evidence. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by evidence is that your evidence is how hard you work.
Yeah.
To get the profit. Mm-hmm. Give more in value than you take in dollars, and you will win. Period. End of story. If you're working harder than the next guy or gal, you're going to win.
In the long haul.
In the long haul.
Yeah. Sometimes people will come in to the industry, they'll know like 4 or 5 people, their family's connected, but after they run out of that, it's done.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'd rather see someone who's working every single day.
Right.
I truly believe people undervalue how many hours you have to put in the beginning.
They do.
That is the number. It's not 40. And when you go home, you can't, it doesn't turn off.
No.
Like laying in bed at night, it's still on. No. And then when I wake up, it's still on. And maybe it's, oh, that's a great idea. Let me take some notes. Let's get that. And Do you feel like this is something you see in your top is like they get an idea or something or told the next day they're doing it?
Yes.
Like that, it doesn't take time.
Yeah.
Too much time goes on. It's never going to be perfect.
And they if that thought comes in, they come walking in at 8 o'clock in the morning and they say, okay, I want to try this. And even if they fail, that failed. I'm going to do something else. Because probably going to get more failures than you are successes, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's just the nature of business.
Yeah.
It really is.
Yeah. What do you think hinders a lot of people? We talked about what you think, is there a trait that you see in people that you're like, man, if they just common trait that people have in business that just makes them unsuccessful or not as successful they should be?
You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. You know I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
It's really their work ethic. It really boils
Yeah.
down. It isn't intelligence. It's not how many degrees you have or any of that kind of stuff. It really boils down to your work ethic.
Yeah.
And do you have what it takes to actually get kicked in the teeth daily?
Yeah.
And come around and ask for more.
Yeah.
Because that's what it's all about, really. I mean, you talk to all great successes, and they'll tell you the same thing. Well, yeah, I started out with nothing.
Yeah.
And now I don't know what to do with all this money.
Well, it's sooner or later you'll get punched in the face.
Oh, sure.
It's always interesting when I see like people. I can always tell in life if they've never been punched before.
Yeah.
like you're 35 and this happened and it's like crushed you. Okay, you've never. This is the first time you've been punched.
That's right.
I have a black eye every day. Like I'm missing a tooth.
Humility is something else, and some people just, do I know all the answers? No, I'm not even close. And what Socrates said, I'm the wisest man in the world because for there I know nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And really that's the truth, is that I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to give it a shot.
We're going to find out.
Yeah, we're going to find out. And if it doesn't, well, then let's go to plan B.
Yeah. Do you think ego gets in a lot of people's way?
Always.
Yeah.
Ego is a big
Well,
problem.
especially I bet coming to you and you're like, hey, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And people want to fight you. It's like, hey, like, I know, like, I have the experience to look at your business and know there's nothing, so ego gets in a lot of people's way.
Oh my gosh, yes. When I walk in for the first time to a business owner, I have to tell them two things. I have to tell them, number one, I'm not the Pope. And number two, I don't work for the IRS. You have to tell me everything.
Yeah.
But it takes probably the second or third meeting before they disclose that, oh, by the way, I have $100,000 cash under my bed because whatever.
There's nothing. I love when people like, what are you gonna do with it?
Yeah, I don't know. Fear plays an important role in that, and ego.
Yeah.
If you want help, and we're afraid to ask for help. I don't know where that really comes from, but if I don't know anything, I'm going to ask.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask somebody, and even my wife, she goes, "You should know that." I go, "Well, I didn't know it at the time, so I'm asking."
Yeah.
And that's why not ask that question, but. Most business owners are afraid to actually do that, and their ego. This is my business. This is the way I've run it. This way, I go. Well, buyer's not going to do that.
Yeah.
Buyer's going to.
They don't care.
They don't care. They don't care how you ran it for 30 years. They don't really care. They care what you make.
Yeah.
And if you own the real estate.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
For us, like if someone wants to sell their house for way too much, what we'll do is we'll go, okay, great. I'm going to go show you every house on the market that's in your neighborhood. And then we'll determine if you think your house is worth more than theirs. And we go show them.
Yeah.
Like, you're going to go look in person, and you're going to have an honest conversation. And, like, we have, like, is this kitchen better than your kitchen? Well, yes. Okay. Is this flooring nicer than your floor? Yes. Is this backyard nicer? Yes, it is. Okay. If these are all nicer, your house cannot be worth more or the same as this house.
Right.
It's impossible. Because if you're a buyer, you're not going to pay more for that. But there's, there's character. I don't care if there's character. It don't matter.
Character. Yeah, you're right. It's interesting how we just think that everything revolves around us.
Yeah.
And that's another thing you have to actually just it's an eye opener. It's kind of a shock to them too.
Oh yeah.
That your business is not worth what you think it is, and nobody's going to come in and buy it for what you think it's worth. And one last thing about that is that when it comes to buying and selling a business, and if you're thinking about selling, I've been doing this for 30 plus years. You don't want to do this yourself.
Oh no,
because there's so many moving parts.
Yes.
And those moving parts, you're just going to leave dollars on the table when it comes to closing, because those moving parts are valuable, whether it's intangible or tangible assets. And there's just so many moving parts that you can actually sell your business for. You just have to,
know what it is. Yeah. So how do you stay up? Do you know him?
I do. I know that young man. Is he work with you?
No, but he was upstairs. Robbie and me are friends. Robbie! That's funny. Riverside's the smallest town ever, I swear to God. For you, how do you stay up and educated?
Gosh, I'm always reading, always looking at profiles of businesses, industries, ratios. It's just love of the game, actually. Really.
Do you ever get burnt out?
No. And the reason is goes back to the oil field, back in working with my father, when I saw so many booms and busts. I saw companies and how it destroyed. They had to go belly up, and how it destroyed families and whatnot. It really triggered me to really help the small business communities, just to help them grow their businesses and teach them more about the ratios and the P&Ls and all of that, to really what buyers and sellers are looking for.
Yeah, I like try to make analogies to where people understand. I try to always say, like, if LeBron and Kobe and MJ all need coaches,
they do.
Why do you think that you're gonna be able to do this on your own? Like, they're the most talented people, in their space ever. And they have probably a nutritionist. They probably have a mental coach. They have a physical therapist. They have a personal trainer. They have a basketball coach. They probably have some other specialist. They have a CPA. They have lawyers. They have all these people around them.
That's right.
And they're super successful.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? If they could do it without all those people, you think they would not pay all those people? Come on.
Yeah, and that's what I tell people that all the time. I tell them I'll coach you through what we've been talking about.
Yeah.
We will consult you. The difference between a coach and a consultant, but the idea is still the same: is that you need us.
Yeah.
But you think you don't.
You don't.
Us.
Yes.
But great analogy. All of those.
That's I try to tell people all the time. I'm like that's something I remind, like, people are like, why do you have a like, I'm running a marathon on Sunday, and like the moment I decided, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna call the 3 people I know. One's a runner. He owns a running store. Okay, you tell me exactly what to do.
Yeah.
I don't want to make any of the running decisions. You tell me to run 10 miles today, I go run 10 miles. You tell me to run 2, I run 2. Right. I don't want to. You tell me what shoes to buy. You tell me what socks to wear. I don't want to make. This is not my space.
Yeah.
I know nothing about this. So just tell me, and I'll do exactly what you tell me to do.
That's right.
It just makes life easier that way.
Easier, and it goes back to you don't know everything.
You don't, and it's too hard to consume everything. Like, I have clients, and I'm like, stop Googling. If you have a question about buying a house or anything, you just call me, because I'm going to explain it in a way that you're not going to get it on an article on Google that might not even determine whatever you're talking about.
Right.
Just make the call.
That's why I love your podcast. That's why, I even do videos, and I tell people, encourage them. give my email. Send me an email with a question.
Yes.
I'd be happy to even call you.
Yeah.
And even walk you through the issue because of what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You don't know all the answers. And why we think we do is just absolutely insane.
I wonder
to me.
why. I just, like you said, I wonder where that comes from.
Yeah.
Is it maybe like pride back in like, being tough or needing to know all the answers, or
it's ego. It really is the ego, and it's a pride thing. And I don't know why when I get asked a question from business owners, or for that matter, even you, if you ask me a question, if I didn't know, I'd tell them I don't know. But what I will do is I'll research it and see if I can figure it out.
Because that's what I want from someone else.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I'm not worried if you don't know the answer.
Right.
Just get it to me.
Yes.
That's it. I don't care. I don't care if, and I would rather you take the extra 10 minutes, even if you think you kind of know the answer. Call someone who you sure know 100% knows the answer.
Right.
And then you give me the 100 and 110% answer correctly.
Right.
Then you tell me the wrong answer. I take your advice. I'm wrong. And then it backfires for me in any ways.
That's right.
Yeah, like
that's absolutely correct. And if you did that more during your day-to-day,
yes,
you're just going to be better and better, and your employees will recognize that.
Yeah,
that you don't come off of knowing everything because you don't know everything.
That, or has someone? I also don't think you should, like my team will ask me a question. I'm like, I don't care. Like, what do you mean you don't care? I'm like, that decision doesn't really affect the company at all.
Right.
So for me to waste my time and energy on that decision doesn't help the company at all.
Right.
So do whatever you want to do. Like, it doesn't, that decision, it's like, do we want the wall white or gray? I don't care. Make it whatever color you want. Like, it's like my team. People go like, do you watch all the videos, how they edit it? I'm like, no. I pay these people. Their job is to edit the videos.
Right.
However they want to edit it, I am paying them and I trust them. If I went back and watched every single video,
right,
is that bringing any more revenue to the company? No. And if they can do it, I remember a mentor of mine, he's like, do I think I'm the best person about putting a for sale sign in a front yard? Yes. I think that I'm the best at it. But can I just pay someone and they could do it 90% as good as I am? Great. Then that's all that matters. And that's one thing I did learn from him is he is way bigger than me, but he knows I do this. So he literally like called me one day and I was like nervous, you know what I mean? Like I was like, what does he want? I answer the phone. He's like, hey, it's Dan. I'm like, what's up? He goes, my marketing girl's in here. We want to do XYZ. How do we do that? And I'm like, I would do this, this, and this. What about this? No, I wouldn't do that because we've tried it that way. It doesn't work. You need to do XYZ. Great. I want you to text me every piece of equipment you have so I can just buy exactly what you have. So if it doesn't work, I know your team can get it to work.
Right.
Right? And I go, cool. Literally not even 4 days later on Instagram, I see him with the mics and the camera, and I'm like, that's what it is. It's that quick. I want to do this. I'm calling this person that knows how to do it. I'm listening to that person 100% because I trust her because they have the experience. Boom, boom, boom. It's 4 days later, where some people have hit me up 3 to 4 years later. They still haven't shot one video. I'm like, well, I got to make sure my logo's good.
There's the doers and the slow turtles.
Do you think people overdo branding? Like logo colors and logos, or they focus too much on those items?
Like, I that's just my opinion. I mean, the branding piece, the color's the color. I mean, and then of course you have those color experts that said, well, you should use red in this and blue and pink and whatever. But personally, when it comes to branding, there's more to it than just colors. Yeah. And there's more to it than just a logo.
Yes.
I mean, look at Nike symbol.
Oh, for sure.
Who would have thought of that?
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that has a history in of itself, but with the Michael Jordan and all that, but just a check. I mean, a little check mark kind of a thing. So, what's behind the branding is what really matters. Yeah.
Do you think name is really important?
Name is important, I think. I think name is important. Make sure it's not a long name. Make it short and sweet and to the point. And really, it should tell your customer exactly what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you try to advise business owners not to have their name in the business?
See, that's a toughie because even my name is in the business of, Cochran Consulting. And that is a toughie. I only used my name, actually marketing of Johnny Cochran.
Oh, yeah, smart. Yeah, Johnny Cochran, yeah.
So I just used Cochran. And
makes sense.
Just about 2 weeks ago, I had a person from Oregon contact me, thought I was related to Johnny Cochran, and we had a conversation, and they're looking for our services.
Oh, really?
So that's the only reason why I went to the Cochran
Makes sense.
Consulting, because of that little marketing piece. Or else I probably would have, ABC Consulting or whatnot. We may down the road change that, if I decide someday that I wanted to exit.
Yeah.
But and we have ways that we could actually do that. But I'm not, if it's the last name, I have no problem with that. I mean, look at Trump.
True.
I mean, Trump everything. So
yeah, I did a podcast with the guy that owns Brandon's Diners, and he was like, why? And he's a Mexican guy from Mexico. He started in the kitchen, whatever. Came up, and he go,
Armando?
He's like, yeah.
I love it.
And he's like, why did you keep Brandon's Diner? He's like, you want to know the truth? He's like, I didn't have the money to change the sign. And he goes, and when I bought the company, I couldn't even say Brandon.
Yeah.
And he's like, but I didn't have the money to change the sign, so we just kept it. And we're not going to change it now. Yeah. That was a great podcast. I really enjoyed speaking with him.
I love his story. I know him and his daughters.
His daughters,
and,
yeah.
And the Brandon
and how they all own one or two of them.
One and two, and talk to them on a regular basis.
Yeah.
I love it. He has that one out there in Ontario.
Oh, yeah.
That he runs, and it's a great story. I asked that same question when we were sitting down and talking. I said, where did Brandon's Diner come from?
Yeah.
And sure enough, he said the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a great story. See, that right there is why capitalism in America is a great place, because you can come
from nothing.
Yes. And by the way, for those that are listening, even if you were born here, you're really come from nothing.
Yeah.
And you can actually change your life through hard work.
Hard work and making the right decisions and just knowing the right plays and just sacrifice. It's like when I first started in this, I became really obsessed with it. I never graduated college, so I was like, oh great, what am I gonna do? And my friends around me were like, you're too much, dude. Like, this is all consuming your business and marketing and all that. I said, hey, listen, man. Hey, can you come play golf today? No, I gotta work. I gotta work. And I was like, at the time, like, I'm gonna not work and I'm gonna go spend money. Like, I can't. Like, I need to work to make money.
Right.
And I always told him, I'm like, you're gonna have a choice one day. You're gonna work your 9 to 5, great, and you're gonna probably be there for the next 30 years, cool. Right. And you might have weekends off, awesome, that's great. Right. But one day, you're gonna be still doing that, and I'm gonna be doing something more than you'll ever can understand.
Yes,
understand.
Absolutely.
And so I'll sacrifice now to now. A good analogy I always tell people, I'm like, there's two people go to Vegas. There's a person that stays at the Tropicana and buys the 3-foot long drink, and that's how they drink. Or the person goes to the Penthouse and goes to all the nice shows and restaurants. You're both in Vegas, but it's two different experiences. Right. What do you want to sacrifice for that greater experience?
I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. I'm in my bag, got my eyes on the price. I can waste no time, cause I gotta keep it tight. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me. Give me the bass, give me the beat. I'm in my bag, this round is on me.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. You hit it right on the head. Yeah. It's 8 to 5, because, and I'll tell you one thing about what entrepreneurs like yourself have an advantage of, because you are actually always in the move, always moving, always thinking. You're going to grow younger.
Yeah.
Than older.
Yes.
And that's a truth.
That's the older people that are business owners.
Yes.
They stay so much younger.
Yes. And I play a lot of tennis, and that's where I met Robbie. But I play a lot of tennis and national rank type tennis player and whatnot. I played in my senior year in college, but picked it up, and I knew back in the day that I'm going to play this forever to stay in good shape.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that I've learned from entrepreneurs, people that own their own company. I was down in La Jolla, and I was selling this guy's company, and he was 65, and he goes, I said, well, you're ready to retire. His company was $5.5 million. And I said, what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I bought a ranch up in Montana, and I'm going to just kind of sit and watch the grass grow. I said, no, you're not.
Yeah, yeah.
I said, how long have you had this company? Since he was 21.
Yeah.
And he sold it at 65.
He ain't shutting it down.
You're not shutting down a minute.
He's going to sit there for one day and be like, I'm coming back.
Exactly. I said, you're going to do something. Well, you'll write a book or
Yeah.
you're going to do something else because that's the way you think. And he goes, you're right. He goes, I told my wife that that's what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to do that. Because he's not.
He's not.
He goes, I'm 65, but I feel like I'm 22.
For sure.
And that's exactly.
It's all about moving.
It really is.
Yeah.
And I have to keep building and keep growing. And if you have that mindset, you don't have time to die.
Yeah.
You don't have time to get old.
Yeah. People that you see buying the business that you're selling, are they people wanting to take over that business? Are they more buying it strictly for investment? What are you kind of seeing?
They're investment.
Oh.
They're usually doing investments, and they're looking to acquire something in their own industry and to build. And then they're gonna, they love an absentee situation, and that's where that hub and spoke I was telling you about. Look, that's why buyers, when they come in, they're not looking to do what you're doing.
Yeah.
They're looking at the money, the cash flow, and they're just adding that to their profile.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing.
And then do you see any of them people, do you have any clients that are like buying stuff up to merge it all together as one?
That's what I encourage them to do.
Yeah.
Especially if they're in that range of, in their 20s, 30s, or 40s, because then they have the time and energy to actually acquire something else and even build it and move it forward. Those that are, the baby boomers, not to say that, 60, 65, but, most of the wealth that is made by people is in their 50s and 60s.
Yes.
Yeah, you can be fortunate enough to sell your business at 30 and be a millionaire. John Paul Getty, did it with 28, but he had help with his dad in the oil field. But most of the wealth, you won't get that until your 50s and 60s even. And I just talked to a gentleman up in Sacramento that's even thinking about selling his business. He's 75. And he goes, I love what I do.
Yeah.
And he goes, my wife's telling me, let's go. Let's do something else. Because he's been doing it for 50 years. So, yeah, it's most businesses are bought with an absentee owner situation.
Got it. Would you advise someone, say they have some cash in the pocket, whatever, starting their own business or buying something that's already there? Buy it.
Because it's already, it's
Done.
almost like we talked about earlier about franchise.
Yeah.
It's already there for you, except it's not a franchise.
Got it.
It's there. It's running the you have employees. You have everything. You don't have to reinvent the wheel.
Got it.
And so it's definitely better to buy it. But I will say this: make sure that if you are actually going to buy, that you have an understanding of that business, or you're going to have a tremendous learning curve.
Yeah.
For sure.
Where do people even find these businesses for sale? Like is there a website?
Yeah, I have my website, but
Yeah.
you have websites like Biz by Sell.
Okay.
There's a ton of business out there to be sold. But again, ask somebody like an expert like myself, because you can't just look at revenue or cash flow or EBITDA or all that and determine whether or not that's a good fit for you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many different moving parts as we talk about in buying and selling a business for sure.
I mean, there's just so many little niches that go into it that you just don't even know.
Yeah.
You know. But like you said, if you own the real estate, that's huge because there's nothing worse when all of a sudden you just go to release and then say you don't get the lease back, and then now you got to find a location. And
I mean, that's what the control part is. People that go in there and buy a business that have a lease, maybe a 5-year lease. Well, 5 years is going to go by like that. You know, it's fast. So look for a piece of a business that has real estate for sure. That would be. You're going to pay more, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
But still.
But at least you have some type of asset.
You have an asset, yeah. A solid asset.
Something that you can sell, you know, or rent or whatever you're going to do with it.
Yeah.
So what best advice would you give someone who's wanting to get into entrepreneurship? Is it make sure you are one? Because I don't think everyone is one. Or is it, you know, what do you think it is?
I'll tell you, if you're going to get into it, dive into a lot of self-development books.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of all of them, but what I'm saying is that when you become an entrepreneur, you're going to find out more about yourself than you'll ever work in an 8-to-5 job, for sure. It's a
different game. Until you experience it.
Yeah.
You know, like I said, I'm running a marathon on Sunday, and I had I want to run this fast, and my guy was like, just enjoy it. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, the next time, do time. I go, why? He goes, because you don't know what mile 22 feels like.
That's right.
You don't know what mile 24 feels like. I could tell you what it feels like, but until you hit it, you don't know the feeling, and you're gonna find out. Are you someone? Because it's gonna suck. He's like, it's gonna suck. I don't care who you are. It sucks.
Yeah.
He's like, are you gonna keep running at mile 23, or are you gonna be like, oh, let me just walk for 10 feet, and then 20 feet, and then 40 feet? And he's like, or are you going to keep the wheels moving? He goes, so until you know that feeling, you can't prepare for it. Yeah. You cannot prepare for something you don't know. It's nothing you can read in a book.
That's right.
There's nothing you can watch a video, and that is the reason why I don't think people make it, is because it's a feeling that you don't know what it feels like until you experience it.
Yeah, it's a feeling. I mean, again, what do you do when payroll's on a Monday and you go to the bank on Friday and there's nothing there?
Yeah.
I mean, that feeling is, and then you go home to your wife and kids and you don't even have dinner on the table.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not a good feeling. But at the same time, on Saturday and Sunday leading up to Monday, you figure stuff out.
Yeah.
And you find a way to actually solve the problem for sure.
Yeah. It's just, you know, obviously, what was your wife? Did your wife ever work?
Yeah, she was a teacher actually.
Okay.
Taught math. Yeah.
So was it ever hard for her to understand where you were at when maybe the business wasn't going great? Understanding because I feel like as a man too, it's well, our job is to provide and stuff, and so it's your business, same thing. Payroll's due on Monday. I have no money in this account. How am I going to figure this out? And then I go home and I'm working 80 hours a week and it just hasn't turned over yet. That's probably the hard too. I tell everyone, who want to get into real estate, I'm like, what does your spouse think about this? They're like, wait, I'm like, you're going to work 40 hours a week if you're doing this right.
Right.
And have no paycheck.
Right.
Can they understand that? I was engaged when I got in this industry. She could not understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't. I told her, I was like, we can't. Why are you going to the office today? Well, I got to go work, but you're not making any money. I know, but I got to go. I got to go drive business.
That right there is the toughest part. You know, my lovely wife would actually tell me, why don't you quit and go work for somebody?
Yeah.
Get a salary. And I would just tell her that I can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
You're not making any money. Well, I understand that, but I'm going to make money. I mean, I can only tell you can relate to this. I probably hired and fired myself over and over hundreds of thousands of times.
All the time, what am I doing? What am I?
Exactly. But for all entrepreneurs, I mean, you have to have one hell of a wife or a husband that
Yeah.
will actually understand how that all works.
Yeah, I think the hardest part is when you're putting the hours in and you know it's working and the revenue's not coming in yet, and it's like just there.
Right.
You know, like for us, I think we have like 28 escrows right now, and you know, whatever, that's maybe like 180,000 in commissions, and it's like times are tough right now, but it's like, okay, it's like those are gonna close. Like that is money that's coming.
Right.
So for the next 2 months, everything, we're eating top of ramen. Like we're not spending no money. Everything's tight. Like that's something I've told my employees. I'm like, you don't know how much money is in my checking account.
Right.
You think I'm rich right now? I'm not.
Right.
I was like, I'm not rich right now. I was like, we're going through a hard time in the market. I'm not rich, but your lifestyle will never change because you're getting your check.
That's right.
My lifestyle will change.
Right.
That's the difference between an owner and an employee. In good times, your life doesn't change. Mine does in a positive way. In bad times, your life doesn't change,
That's
but
right.
mine does too.
That's right.
So that's the risk we take as an owner in the business.
It really, that's it. You summed it up. Being an entrepreneur, that's exactly.
That's
right.
what it is. So don't be upset when things are going well and I'm going on a nice vacation, because when things are bad,
Right.
I'm doing nothing.
The big difference is that 10 years from now, usually your employees are the same.
Yes,
But in 10 years, you might be a multimillionaire.
exactly.
I mean, and that's the difference.
That's the difference.
That is and that's what I explained to my wife. I said, you know, that's what I think about. I think in terms of down the road, not today. Well, today, okay, we're eating beans, but down the road we'll be eating steak. You know, I mean, it's just
Well, and then too, it's like when you're on a fixed salary income or whatever, like as like, you know, we're dealing with inflation right now, like you don't have the ability to go make more money.
That's
like
right.
I do.
right.
You know, so I'm taking more of the risk, but I also can have more upside. And I'm lucky enough in something. Have you guys seen, obviously inflation's up and that's helped housing and COVID. Have you seen a big increase in what companies are worth after COVID? After we, you know, pumped $5 trillion into the system?
Yes, some industries.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously the restaurant industry got killed because of COVID, but yeah, some industries you see a bump up. Others really kind of just stays the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that money went to the big boys. So
I'd have to agree with you on that.
yeah,
one. Mm-hmm.
The one thing that I think COVID hopefully showed a lot of normal people is everyone who owns a business or a restaurant or whatever that you thought was killing it.
Right.
They're not. You know, like restaurant owners, like the margins are like 10%. It's like 7%.
It's even worse than that. But you are right. I mean, everybody thinks that they drive by, they look at a business and say, "Oh gosh, they're really packed today." Well, they're making money.
Yeah.
That's just not the case. I mean, some are.
Yeah.
But you don't know until you look at the P&L.
P&L.
And when is that going to happen? Well, if they
want to go sell.
Yeah, exactly.
The worst is when a good business is working, and even if you're not, like, I know a family member bought obviously I didn't know the P&L when I was a kid at the time, but bought a very seemed like good restaurant and they just drove it in the ground. Like,
yeah.
It's like not everyone's meant to
Right.
run a business.
You know what I don't understand is, well, I do, but I say this for the listeners, that if your company's doing really, really well, sell it.
Yes.
Why don't you sell? Well, because it's doing real. That's when you sell.
Yeah.
You sell it. It's just like stocks. You sell at the top.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you buy when it's low, but sell at the top. And because of all the emotion and all the things that the branding and everything that goes into that business, and it's doing well, you sell it. Well, then what am I going to do? Well, you could always start another.
That or take a position. They're not going to want you to leave immediately. Take a salary position, cash out,
Yeah.
take that money to go do something. That's the same thing with housing. It's like, I love everybody like, oh, well, how's the market? I'm like, you're not going to sell your house. Why do you care?
Yeah.
Like, if you were treating this as a true asset, you would sell it right now. They're like, well, where am I going to go live? I don't know, but you're sitting on $400,000.
Right.
What would $400,000 do to your life? It would change it pretty quickly.
Right.
You're the person that's going to complain. I don't think prices are going down, but you'll be the one complaining if you see a 50% drop. You know.
You know, I tell people that own real estate, you know, maybe they're maybe they have a mortgage of $2,500 or whatever. And this was back in the day because rent has gone up.
Yeah, gone up.
But I said, why don't you turn around and rent out your house for $3,500 and go and get a 1-bedroom apartment for $1,200? And they look at me like I'm nuts.
Yeah.
And I just, well, do you want to look in terms of making money?
Yeah.
I mean, because that's what you're actually doing. But they look at me sometimes that I'm crazy, and especially their spouse does the same. But.
Yeah. If I could go back, I just actually made a video about this the other day. If I could go back, I would have bought a lot more real estate when I first started, because I used to buy stuff in downtown Riverside for like $225. Like if I would have known what I know now, but I would have bought a duplex or a triplex and rented out the other units. I would have used an FHA loan with 3.5% down.
Oh.
Like if I could go back before, now my girl and me, we have kids and stuff. And if I told everyone, if I was 25 again, I was 27 when I got it. If I was 27 today, I would have saved up 3.5% for a triplex or a 4-unit property in Riverside. And I would have lived in one of those units. I would have rented out the rest, and I would have got to 20%. I would have refied and done it again.
What you just
dang
said,
it. I'm so mad at myself.
What you just said, I married, and right across from Riverside Community College, there was a fourplex. I told my wife, we were a month into our, being married, and I said, let's buy this fourplex, and we'll live in one and rent out the 3 and pay for our mortgage.
Yeah.
I said, this is it. She goes, no way. I am not going to live in a fourplex. I just can't.
Yes.
And my family, friends, and everything. And I go, and now let's see, we could have got it for $250K, and now it's worth 1.3.
Yeah.
I think it was.
And cash flowing.
Right. And
yes.
She kicks herself. She goes, I just don't know why I didn't listen to you. And I said, I tried. She goes, I need a house back in the day. Yeah. But you're right. I mean, that's exactly.
If I could go back, that's my biggest regret in real estate, was not doing that.
Yeah, I would have done. I tried to convince my wife to do that, but she didn't want
to. Did it help that your dad was a business owner to help you with them? Like my dad, bless his heart, I learned a lot from him, but he worked at Stater Brothers for 40 years. So he didn't have, he showed me work ethic. Like right. he worked 6 days a week, never called in sick. That's what he did. But he didn't have like the business mindset. So when I got into this industry, I was like figuring this out because I had no mentors. I was like, let's try this. I didn't work. Okay, let's try that. Okay. Yeah, right. Did it help that your dad was a business owner?
Absolutely. Totally. I learned a lot watching him. Just, I started working with him at age 8, and God, the stories are endless. But he was one of those guys that sit there and said that payroll's on Monday and no bank, nothing in the bank right now. What are we going to do? Mm-hmm. And he was a problem solver.
Yeah.
And it was a tough. He was a World War II tail gunner vet from the Army, and he was one of those guys that, work ethic, and you know what, get up. I'll tell you a funny story. My best friend and we went to prom. My dad bought a brand new Buick. It was a week old, and he goes, all right, you guys can borrow our Buick, take your dates.
Yeah.
Here's the money. We got our tuxes. We were juniors in high school, and we got home typical, what do kids do after the prom?
Yeah.
We go and have breakfast and do whatever. We rolled in at about 5 a.m. and the next day. And so it was about 6:30. He comes knocking on the door. My best friend was right there with me. He goes, all right, time to go to work. And what? Time to go to work. You think that cash and the Buick and everything was free? Oh, yeah, that was a great lesson for even my best friend at the time.
Yeah.
But, but the answer to your question is it really helps when you have and you see the ups and downs of being a business owner.
Yeah, I remember one day coming in real late just like that. It was like 4:30 in the morning, and I walked in, and my dad was getting dressed to go to work, and he was putting on his brown pants and his white button-up that he's done for 30-something years. And I remember looking at him being like, I'm never going to get up at 4:30 for someone else, but I'll get up at 4:30 for myself.
There you go.
And that was like a moment in my mind where I was like, I could not get up this early every day for someone else, but I get up this early for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
that goes back to that, the marathon that you're running.
I know.
Yeah, that's
I'm
good
excited.
stuff. I mean, right there, I never ran a marathon. Of my roommate in college did back in the Nebraska marathon. Well, I watched it, and it was painful.
Yeah, I mean, someone asked me why I'm doing it. There's two things I'm doing this year. One, marathon. Someone's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, well, less than 1% of people do it, you know? And then two, I've cut out alcohol this year until I make $1 million.
There you
Like,
go.
people are like, and they're like, why? And I'm like, because I was like, why am I celebrating if I haven't accomplished something big enough to celebrate?
That's right.
And I was like, so until I make a goal, there's no reason for me to be playing.
See, those that I don't want to just say that they're thinking small, but but they are, because you do those things with yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, I have even in my bedroom on my whiteboard my goals for the year, and I have it so I can see it every day.
Yeah.
Every single day I look at that and say, okay, I gotta.
I try to tell them all the meme or whatever Instagram posts that you see, like, who you surround with matters and write your goals. I'm like, that's the secret sauce.
Yeah.
It's out there.
Yeah.
But you read those things, you're like, no, it has to be more difficult than that. It's not. It's not some code or some 1 + 3 = this. No, it's literally who you surround yourself with. Always trying to improve. Have your daily tasks, have some discipline in your life.
Right.
That's the other thing too. I was like, do I have the discipline to not drink when I'm at my country club or I'm with friends, or can I go that?
That's right.
And it's like, if I don't have the discipline to do that, how am I going to have the discipline to get up early every morning and work every day and doing all those things?
And you have employees that count on you.
That count on me.
That count on you. I mean, you're living that lifestyle.
Yes.
Because they are counting on you for a paycheck.
100%. If that's not motivation.
If that's not motivation, I don't know what is it.
Because I never want I'll never want my client, my people to miss a paycheck. I don't care how bad it gets.
That's why one thing my dad did one time, Friday, same thing. He gave his last dollars to one of his employees so that they could enjoy, and because it was payroll. He came in, and I still remember my mom, and my mom says, well, what are we going to do? Because we didn't have any money.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, she goes, why'd you give it to them? He goes, I got to pay them first.
Yeah.
Before me. It was a great lesson. And at the time I was 11 years old. And I'm thinking, wow, that's just amazing. And you just don't understand those things.
And that's the thing that people think business, maybe if you want to look at CFOs and CEOs of big companies,
right?
But business owners are literally doing this.
Yes.
For their employees.
Yeah.
If without them, those people don't have jobs.
That's right.
So when people get mad, and the hard part is that's why I hate corporate taxes are for everyone. It should be corporate taxes over a certain amount of income, corporate taxes.
Right.
I tell people, I'm like, you try to raise corporate taxes, that affects me.
Right.
Which then affects my employees. So if I just got hit with an extra 10% corporate tax, how am I supposed to then give someone a raise? I can't do both.
Right.
In a hard market.
That's right.
It's just, I have to. It's things that people don't think about.
And that's what business owners are thinking about daily.
Yeah, I don't think I've gone a day. I don't think I've ever gone a day with not working.
Yeah.
In 8 years. And I don't think I'd ever trade it, because even this, people go, why do you do the podcast? I'm like, I've had conversations with people that are so interesting, that are so eye-opening, and it's that is what it's about.
That's why when I was, even Keanu told me.
Oh, yeah, how do you know him?
He, I helped him get into a business.
Is he you helped him with the pressure washer business?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the entering phase.
Yes.
I helped him set up a corporation.
Yes.
And he and his future wife and everything. And I told him, and to this day, I still help him with that. And so when he told me about this podcast, I said, I'd absolutely love it, because then I get to meet you. And
yes.
I get to, the energy and what you do
for
here,
sure.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And I love people that are business owners is when you become a business owner, you respect other business owners.
Yes.
Because then it's who's going to help out who first?
Right.
Business owners are going to see your post and share it before someone else.
Right.
Or, hey, how do I know? Like I tell everyone, if you own a business, go find top realtors. Why? They know everyone.
Yeah.
And their job is to talk to everyone.
Yeah.
And so if they need a service and you're their guy, that is the referral business that can change your career.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, well, I've had a pleasure, man.
Oh, I
know
it.
you're a busy man. If someone is wanting to know more about getting into business or selling their business, what's the best way people get a hold of you?
They can send me an email, cochranconsulting@yahoo.com, or they can even give me a call, 951-237-7234.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I learned a lot. I enjoyed myself. Guys, this is what it's about. Yeah. This is what it's about. Make sure you go support him. Go follow him. If you know anyone, maybe you're not a business owner, but your family's a business owner or something like that, remember, it's just like anything else. When you are dealing with complicated things, don't think you could do it on your own. It's okay to ask for help.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're leaving money on the table when you don't.
That's right.
All right. Hey, till next time, guys. Peace.